where we bring bird watching destinations to your homes. Thank you for joining us on Zoom and on Facebook Live. Tonight, we bring you to the garden city of Singapore with a very special guest. He's the chairman of the Records Committee of the Bird Group of the Nature Society of Singapore, Mr. Lim Kim Seng. Kim Seng, how are you tonight?
I'm great. Thanks, Mike.
We want you to show us why you have 400 bird species in Singapore. Is that
okay?
Okay. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is Mr. Lim Kim Seng.
Mike. This is what Singapore looks like. Okay, and then I just want to talk a little bit about the organization that I represent, which is Nature Society Singapore. So stronghold for things like mangrove beetle and mangrove blue flycatcher, together with Pulau Tekong, right? So these are some of the more important urban areas which I'll cover later. Okay, so just some statistics about Singapore. Okay, another one is the lesser adjutant. This is the tallest water bird in Singapore. It used to nest in Singapore. This was close to 100 years ago. But now, the birds we see in Singapore are all, we think, coming from Johor, Malaysia, right? They seem to find Singapore a good place to forage. So this was a bird taken just right? Okay, on the theme of water birds, we have to look at the white-browed crake here. So this was one at the Neo Teo area, which is quite close to the Kranji marshes, right? One of our protected wetlands. So typically they are hard to see, but in an open pond area, there was at least one adult with a chick, right? So it was quite easy to photograph them, right? So white-browed crake is actually also quite widespread resident species, but as a target for people who have not seen them, especially in other countries where they are quite scarce. Right? Okay, another resident crake is this red-legged crake. Unlike most crakes, this one is actually found only in forest areas. They do come to water areas to bathe, but you will not see them in marshes. You see them in woodland, right? So one good place to see them is actually the botanic gardens, right, where they'll move around, right? So this one is actually photograph called foraging in the early morning in the forest. Yeah. Okay, we have a lot of shorebirds, but only 3 species nest or breed in Singapore. One of them is this Malaysian plover, right? So it's considered globally threatened, right? It's got a big range, right? The coast of Myanmar, the Thai Malay Peninsula, all the way east to Indonesia, right? So this is actually a male because it's got a black band and black forehead band, right? So it likes sandy shore, right? And can be found in a few areas where we have the remnant habitat of sandy shore. Okay, who doesn't like owls? So here we have one of the star owls. Again, also a much wanted species. So this is actually the spotted wood owl, right? So it used to be quite rare. In fact, it was first discovered in Singapore in 1985. But now I can think of at least 7 locations where they can be found, right? So they are doing very well. So this one of our big owls is almost like 40 centimeters in length. Another one is actually this pufferfish owl, right? This is a young bird, but it's also pretty what I call sought after. So this one is a young bird that's learning how to what I call fly, right? Next, we have the gray-headed fish eagle. It's also got a pretty big range, right? From India down to Southeast Asia, all the way to the Philippines, right? So a fish eagle is doing okay despite competition with the white-bellied sea eagle. So in its natural habitat, it actually is found in forested waterways like rivers and streams. In Singapore, it's adapted itself to what I call thrive in areas where there used to be quarries. Right? So they've what I call taken advantage of that habitat and doing pretty okay, despite the fact that they're net threatened. And then we have mangrove pitta, right? So most of the time, if you ask me where to find mangrove pitta, I'll say Pulau Ubin, which is the island on the northeast. But in the last few years, we've been seeing them at other locations. For example, this individual was seen in the Botanic Gardens, far from mangrove, right? And then earlier this year, we have another 2 records, right? One from a coastal park, probably a lost bird, and then another one in inland park in Bishan, right? So I'm not sure what's happening here, but this is a bird that's easy to see during the breeding season, like July to September. So this is a tiger shrike, which is a migrant, right? Unlike most of the birds I have shown. So you see that most of our migrants are part of the East Asian Australasian flyway, and tiger shrike is actually from the part that most of our migrants come from, which is northern Russia, Northeast China, Japan, and Korea. And then, of course, in winter, they migrate south to Southeast Asia, all the way to the Sundas. Okay, this bird was photographed just outside my window. Right, this is an Arctic warbler. There are many species of warblers in Singapore, but this is the one that's most common, right? And you see this before most of the other species, and it's here from September to April, right? One of the funny things is I face when I talk to birders is that they will try to ask me the name again, Arctic warbler. What's an Arctic warbler doing in equatorial Singapore, right? Okay, for flycatchers, yeah, like I said, we have quite a few, but this is probably the most sought after. And at the moment, I think we have like a couple of them around in Singapore at the moment. So this is a good brown-chested jungle flycatcher, right? So it breeds in southern China and I think northern part of Vietnam, and then migrates south to Southeast Asia, the Thai Malay Peninsula, and as far south as Sumatra, right? During October, which is now, it's the best time to see this bird if you haven't seen it, right, in China. So they are not necessarily found in forests; they can also be found in scrubby areas. But now is the best time to see them, right? And it's classified as globally honorable. Right? Okay, this speck of color is an orange-bellied flowerpecker. They are closely related to sunbirds, but they feed mostly on fruits, right? So this one is the flowerpecker of our forests, right? And then we have crimson sunbird. This is our national bird, right? So why? Because it was also found described by Raffles, right? And the red top seems to be same color as our national flag, right? So this was polled and the people's favorite for national bird. So this is a male. The female is actually more red. And then we have another Sundar endemic here. This is a mangrove bird, a mangrove specialist. But I think it also occurs in Palawan, right? It's a copper-throated sunbird. This is a male. And okay, the famous straw-headed bulbul, right? Another Sundar endemic, but a bird that is actually critically endangered because of the catch bird trade. Singapore is the only place where you can probably still guarantee a sighting, right? Because they occur in many protected parks. Okay, common aura is one of this is actually a very common bird in gardens and parks, right? It's also one of those families that can only be found in Asia, right? So it's quite a common bird and quite pleasant to listen to. And then we have the greater green-leaf bird, another family that's found only in Asia, right? So this is considered as endangered now because of the catch bird trade. And this is a male with a black throat. We have a good diversity of starlings. So this is the one which I captured like a couple of weeks ago. So this is a white-shouldered starling, right, or Chinese starling from from China, right, and they migrate down to mainland Southeast Asia and then to Singapore, right. Yet another Asian family. This is the Asian fairy bluebird, right. It's fairly common in our forests. It's a canopy species. They call a lot, but can be difficult to spot. Right? And then babblers, right? Everybody's brown job. So this is the Abbott's babbler, which also has a pretty wide range. Not easy to see, right? But sometimes they get very friendly, right? And then Java munia, right? So Java munia is actually an introduced species. They are found in Sumatra, Java, Bali, and Lombok. Singapore also has a healthy population. And then in the last few years, I think a few have got across to Malaysia. So it's now also on the Malaysian checklist. All right, so enough of birds. Let me tell you about my favorite birding sites, right? So this is actually the Central Catchment Nature Reserve in the early morning. So if I'm doing birding trip or birding tour, usually I'll start here, right? So you can enjoy the sunrise, try to look at owls, and then experience the dawn chorus. So this is where I usually expect to see like a sea eagle or a fish eagle fly across, right? Or stock-billed kingfisher calling. If you want to see forest birds in Singapore, this is the best place, right? So another place where you can find forest species is the Bukit Timah Nature Reserve. So this is actually the foot of the hill. If you walk up another 15 minutes, you reach the highest point in Singapore, which is 163 meters above sea level. Here, birding is difficult because the trees are called densely packed together. They are also very tall, and the foliage is very thick, right? But whenever a fruiting tree starts to fruit at the summit, you find birders going there, right? Even though it's actually a hard climb to the top. So things, special birds like thrushes, pigeons, and then flower peckers, sunbirds that you don't normally see can be found at the summit, right? Next is Bukit Batok Nature Park, right? So this is actually not too far from Bukit Timah. It's an abandoned granite quarry with patches of woods and scrub. This is the best place to see the critically endangered straw-headed boo-boo, right? They seem to like the water edge, right? And you can feed them on fruiting bushes nearby, and you can hear their beautiful song when they are there, right? Okay, this is now my second favorite forest area, Dairy Farm Nature Park. You can see these two of my clients actually trying to photograph sunbirds, right? This is the flower portion of the Wallace Trail at Dairy Farm Nature Park. So this is where you can get birds. Well, the birds really close. Crimson sunbird, Van Hassel's sunbird, little spider hunter, the leaf birds, Bender woodpecker, and so on. So this is actually pretty good replacement for the central catchment if you're not going there. And another plus point about Dairy Farm Nature Park is that it has lots of fruiting trees. So you get the big crown barbet, the jumbo fruit dells, as well as those interesting flycatchers we have mentioned earlier. And okay, you also have Sungai Buloh Wetland Reserve. This is where you go for shorebirds, for mangrove species, and for water birds in general. Right? Kranji Marshes, yeah, this is where this is actually quite close to Sungai Buloh, and it requires a lot of exploration, but you'll be rewarded with sightings of freshwater marshland species like moorhens, swan hens, greater painted snipe, craigs, of course, bitterns, and so on. Okay, this is the ever-evolving Singapore Botanic Gardens. This is the portion of it called Learning Forest. The Singapore Botanic Gardens secured the UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2015. Right. So ever since then, they've been expanding, and birders like to go there because the birds are fairly used to people, and you can get a lot of things like migrating pitas, right? Thrushes. What else? Quakes running around, red jungle fowl, hornbill, woodpecker. So quite a lot of combination of species from rainforest, from the marshes, and from scrub and parks and garden. Right? So if you're not sure where to start birding in Singapore, I recommend the Singapore Botanic Gardens. Next is this park. Before 2010, it was an obscure area that nobody goes for birding. Right? I only go there for cycling. But in 2010, something happened. In January of that year, all the cuckoos ever recorded in Singapore came to Pasir Ris Park. And of course, what happened was all the birders in Singapore went there, right? So it doesn't matter what kind of cuckoo you name it, we have it over there. And since then, the park has matured to become one of the more popular parks of the East, right? Because you can get spotted wood owl here, you get buffyfish owl here, you get Sunda's Cops owl here, oriental pied hornbill, red jungle fowl, and also quite a lot of other species, kingfishers as well in the mangroves. So yeah, it's in a place that's pretty close to the airport. So even if you have like a 3-4 hours layover in Singapore, don't waste your time sitting at the airport. You can just drop by here, do a couple hours birding, and then go back. This is my new favorite, Jurong Lake Gardens. This is similar to Pasir Ris Park, but this is actually in the west, next to the old Chinese and Japanese gardens. It's a well-landscaped new park, drawing a lot of birders, and also drawing a lot of birds. Right? We're getting things like Chinese blackbird. What else? The chestnut. The what called? There was recently a button quail occurring there, and things like Chinese blue flycatcher and blue winged pitta. Right. So this is also another good spot for birding. Right. Pulau Ubin, I mentioned, is the island that you need to go if you want to guarantee or have a good chance of seeing mangrove pitta. It also has a very nice boardwalk system, like you see here on this eastern shore, which is good for shorebirds, great-billed heron, and a few of the mangrove species like mangrove blue flycatcher. Okay, so that's my favorite 10. Of course, I want to end off by saying this is a photograph of a site that's no more, Bidadari Cemetery. It used to be our #1 migrant hotspot, but it's now given way to a housing project. Right? So, I mean, these things happen. So we need to do our best to try to conserve our birding spots. Okay, anyone has any questions?
Kim Seng, please stop sharing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Okay.
Who else do I see? I don't see anybody.
You have a lot of fans.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Does anyone have any questions? Ah, there's a question here. How long a birding trip do you suggest, and what is the best season?
Okay. How long a birding trip depends on how much time you have, right? And what was
Yes,
your, what was
exactly.
what was your original intention? Are you here just for a business trip? Are you here for a family holiday? Right. If you are doing those, yeah, maybe 1 or 2 days for you to get around some of the common sites. But if you are seriously birding, right, for the first time in Southeast Asia, right, I'll say a week, right? So for you to get around those sites and then get familiar with the birds and the families. Now, of course, if you only have a day, it's still good enough. Better than nothing at all. Because in half a day, let's say 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. 12 p.m. You can go to at least 2, sometimes 3 sites, and then see lots of birds. In fact, even a half day, right? You can see sometimes 4 different species of owls or 3 different species of pittas, depending on your luck.
Well, as head of the records committee, what for you personally are the top 5 most unusual birds to show up in Singapore?
Oh, interesting question.
Just top
I
of
think
your mind.
okay. I think last year we had a very unusual what we call autumn or winter. We had quite a few species that turn up here that we didn't expect to see, right? For example, tiger flycatcher, right? It's not supposed to be here, but no, it was found in at least 2 spots, right? So that was the first time it was seen in Singapore. And then we also had Dorian red start, familiar to most of you, but it's something new to us. And then we also found that Malaysia also had Dorian red start as well. And then we also had a call. So this winter, this past winter was very strange. We also had a white-cheeked starling, which again shouldn't be here. So I don't know what is happening to the world. I mean, why are these birds suddenly appearing in Singapore? Right? Then in December 2019, we had an invasion of the Asian open bills. I think some of you may know, right? I think there was a sort of major eruption of Asian open bills. We got thousands in Singapore. So that was a big surprise to everyone in Singapore. Right? So I mean, that's the beauty of birding. You never know, every day when you go out birding, you never know what you can come across, right? Even in a place like Singapore. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, I forgot to answer one more question. See, what's the best time to come to Singapore for birding? I would say any time of the year, right? Because different times of the year will have different things. For example, if you're looking for resident birds, the best time will be February to about September, because this is the main breeding season for most of the birds. If you're into migrants, right, the best time will be September to April. If you want the best of both worlds, come February, March, April, you'll be able to get both sets of birds. But if you want excitement, come to Singapore now, because this is when all the migrants suddenly turn up. You don't know which one, or when. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any more questions to Kim Seng?
But like I said, even if you're in Singapore on a business trip, right? Yeah, do go out birding, because who knows, you may find Singapore's next new bird.
Indeed, you never know.
Yeah.
Indeed. Hi. Yeah, we're friends from North America, very far from Asia.
Where?
Any questions from you guys?
Benedicto from Guatemala. How are you?
How are you, my friend?
Hi. Good.
How everybody?
You have questions for Kim Seng?
Not really at this moment. With this message world, it's very hard to think and travel to long distances. But in the future, we are planning to add different destinations to our website, Boarding Expeditions, and I will contact Lim for to get the information from him. Also, my son launched 1 year ago a network. It's called Birding by Locals. Start trying to help local providers to connect with independent travelers, especially because it's a trend that many people who's traveling by themselves now arriving to the hotel and then they try to contact local people. And maybe if someone from the local company is there can be there, it's okay. I will share with you later on some information about that to share with your people.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Kim Seng, if visitors, birders, they arrive in Singapore, how do they contact you? Or is there any organization can help them for birding? Maybe just a half day or day?
I think okay. I have a actually I'm a licensed nature guide with the Singapore Tourism Board.
Excellent.
You can actually go to the Singapore Tourism Board website to look for nature guides, right? I mean, and some of you maybe you know me, so you can approach me directly. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So now we know how to reach Kim Seng in Singapore. If we want to go birding.
Hi,
Yeah,
Lim Kim.
Indra, please.
Thank you for wonderful presentations.
Thank
It
you.
was really a great to see the Singapore.
Right.
Thank you, ABF, that it's given me a pleasure time to be in Singapore in 2014. Was it that where the bird fair will happen? 2014 or 15?
2014, I guess.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
the sixth Asian bird fair. Yeah.
600. Yeah. Yeah.
so. Sixth Asian bird fair.
Oh,
So-
the sixth, yes.
Yeah. So, we've been to a couple of places and we took a post tours and things like that. And we had a really great birdings there. And I was quite sad to hear that the bidadari, is it still going on? Is there is there any way that they can push it out from the government policy that they made it out for, building and things? Or?
Well, I think we tried to, and the developers actually committed to save or sort of like designate a part of the area as like a park area. But I I think when they clear the area for housing development, that most of the damage has been done. Yeah. So hopefully the birds can find another place to go to. So maybe that's why we are seeing birds in other places as well, because they can't find a, a place where they can actually feed or rest, and they'll move on to other places. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, once again, our friend from Africa, Herbert wants to know, is there any woman birders or female bird guides in Singapore?
Let me see. There may be one or two. I need to check. Yeah, but I think most of the guides in Singapore are male. Yeah.
Okay.
I need to check the Singapore Tourism Board website again.
Okay.
How about women bird watchers? Are there much lesser women bird watching?
There are many.
Okay, it depends on what you mean by bird watchers, right? People with binoculars or people with cameras, right? I think it's still majority of the birders are male, right? Although there are increasingly more females. I think for photographers, it's both male and female.
When I was last in Singapore, there was this issue between bird watchers and bird photographers, and even your park services were wary about the practices of the bird photographers. Is it still an issue right now?
I think this is an ongoing thing, right? On the one hand, you want people to enjoy, observe, and photograph the birds. But on the other hand, you also want people to actually be mindful of the rules and regulations of the place, right? And also, more importantly, the birds' welfare, right? So where do you stand on this? If you stand logically, we should stand on the birds' welfare standpoint, right? And try to protect them. But it's difficult to control because with social media, right? You find that like I mentioned just now, if somebody find a rarity in some part of Singapore today, tomorrow I can guarantee you, at least 50 people will be there, right? So there will be there two issues then. Firstly, how close do you approach to the bird, right? Second, do you go tramping all over the place to find the bird? And third, don't forget, we are not in the old world anymore. This is COVID-19 era. So how do you make sure that 50 photographers or birders practice social distancing, not harm themselves and also not harm the bird? So it's a problem that is still there, I think. And it's very hard to solve unless everyone is agreeable on some common norm.
Yeah, I think it's not only in Singapore. It happens almost everywhere now.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So if there's no further questions for Kim Seng, so we must say goodnight to everyone. So before we go, as always, we're gonna take a group photo. So everyone, please turn on your camera, show your faces, and we may see you.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Is everybody ready?
Wait.
Okay. Ellen, Oh Young, we don't see you.
Judy,
Kei Chang, Audrey.
Stacy,
Yeah, okay, Ellen.
Hey, Alan.
Ellen,
Great, Ellen.
the big boss.
Show your face.
Right. Okay. Kei Chang. Okay, so please look at the camera, smile, and please do not move. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Let's do one more photo. Okay.
One more. Ricky.
Yeah, we see more faces. Ricky. Hey. Okay, now we do it again. Look at this camera. 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much. Okay, have a nice weekend. Before we go, Mike, where are we going next week?
Next week we're going to Malaysia.
Oh.
Our guest speaker is our VIP ABF co-founder Andrew Sebastian.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, so see you guys again next week at 9 p.m. Taiwan time.
Thank
Thank
you
you
much
for
for
supporting us.
supporting, and we're sorry again for the technical problem.
You.
We'll be all right next week. All right, have a nice weekend, everybody. Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you.
From Africa,
See you
Uganda.
again.
Have a
Kim
nice
Seng,
evening.
thank you. Bye.